This early pampering masks them for life. They need to be adored. They become masters at manipulating others to pamper them and shower them with attention. They naturally feel greater than anyone above them. If they have any talent, they might reach quite far as their sense of being born with a crown on their head becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Unlike others, they never really alternate between feelings of smallness and greatness. They know only the latter. They know only the latter. Suddenly, Eisner came from such a background when, as he had a mother who met his every need, completed his homework for him, and sheltered him from his cruel and sometimes cruel father. And sheltered him from his cruel and sometimes cruel father. In the past, we humans were able to channel our grandiose needs into religion. In ancient time, our sense of self smallness was not just something bred into us. By the many years we spent dependent on our parents. It also came from our weakness in relation to the hostile power in nature. Gods and spirits represented these elemental powers of nature dwarfed that that dwarfed our own. By worshipping them, we could gain their protection. Connected by something much larger than ourselves, we felt enlarged. After all, the gods or God cared about the fate of our tribe or city. They cared about our individual soul, a sign of our own significance. We did not merely die and disappear. Many centuries later, in a similar manner, we channeled this energy into worshipping leaders who represented a great cause and promoted a future utopia, such as Napoleon Bonaparte and the French Revolution, as Mao Zedong and communism. Today in the Western world, religions and great causes have lost their winning power. We find it hard to believe in them and to satisfy our grandiose energy through identification with a great power. Need to feel larger and significant, however, does not simply disappear. It is longer than ever, and absent any other channel, people will tend to direct the energy toward themselves. They will find a way to expand their sense of self to feel greater and superior, although really conscious of this. What they are choosing to idolize and worship is the self. Because of this, we find more and more grandiose individuals among us. Other factors have also contributed to increases in grandiosity. First, we find more people who experience pampering attention in their childhood than ever in the past, feeling like they were once the center of the universe because a hard thing to seek. They come to believe that anything they do or produce should be seen as precious, as worthy of attention. Second, we find increasing numbers of people who have little or no respect for authority or experts for of any kind, no matter that expert level of training experience which them they slaves lack. Why should their opinion be any more valid than my own? They might tell themselves. Hmm. Why should their opinion be more valid than my own? They might tell themselves nobody really that great. People with power are just more privileged. My writing and music are just as legitimate and worthy as anyone else. Without a sense of anyone rightly being above them and deserving authority, they can position themselves among the highest. Third, technology gives us the impression that everything in life can be as fast and simple as information In uh, we can glean online. It instills the belief that we no longer have to spend years learning a skill. Instead, through a few tricks and with a few hours a week of patience, we can become proficient at anything. Similarly, people believe that their skill can easily be transferred. My ability to write means I can also direct a film. But more than anything, it is social media that spread at the grandiosity virus. Through social media, we have almost limitless power to expand our presence, to create the illusion that we have the attention and even adoration of thousands or million of people. We can possess the fame and ubiquity of thing and queen in the ubiquity of the king and queen in the past, or even of the gods themselves. With all of these elements combined, it is harder than ever for any of us to maintain a realistic attitude and a proportionate sense of self. In looking at the people around you, you must realize that the grandiosity and yours can come in many different forms. Most commonly, people will try to satisfy the end by gaining social prestige. Many people claim they are interested in their work itself or in contributing to humanity. But often, deep down, which is really motivating them, is the desire to have attention, to have their high self opinion confirmed by others who admire them, to feel powerful, inflated. If they are talented, such type can get the attention they need for several years or no or longer. But inevitably, as in the story of their need for accolades will lure them into overreaching. If people are disappointed in their career yet still believe they are great and unrecognized, uh, they may turn to various compensation, drugs, alcohol, sex with as many partners as possible. Shopping a superior mocking attitude, etc. Those who unsatisfied grandiosity will often become filled with maniac energy. One moment telling everyone about the great screenplays they will write, or the many women will they will seduce, and the next one falling into depression as reality intrudes. People still tend to realize leaders and worship them. And you must see this as a form of grandiosity. By believing someone else will make everything great, followers can feel something of this greatness. Their mind can soar along with the rhetoric of the leader. They can feel superior to those who are not believers. On a more personal level, people will often idolize those they love, elevating them to good or goddess status, and by extension, feeling some of this power reflected back on them. In the world today, you will also notice the prevalence of negative forms of grandiosity. Many people feel the need to disguise their grandiose urge not only from others but also from themselves. They will frequently make a show of their humility. They are not interested in power, feeling important, or so they say. They are happy with their small lot in life. They do not want a lot of possessions, do not own a car and disdain status, but you will notice they have a need to display the humility in a public manner. It is grandiose humility, their way to get attention and to feel morally superior. A variation on this is the grandiose victim. They have suffered a lot and been the victim numerous times. Although they may like to frame it simple as being simply unlucky and unfortunate. You will notice that they often have a tendency to fall for the worst type in intimate relationship or put themselves in circumstances in which they are certain to fail or and suffer. In essence, they are compelled to create their drama that will turn them into a victim. As it turns out, any relationship with them will have to revolve around their need. They have suffered too much in the past to attend to your needs. They are the center of the universe, feeling and expressing their misfortune, given them their sense of importance. opinion expressing their misfortune, given them their sense of importance of being superior in suffering. You can measure the level of grandiosity of people in several ways. For instance, notice how people respond to criticism of them or their work. It is normal for any of us to feel defensive and a bit upset when criticized. But some people become enraged and hysterical because we have called into doubt their sense of greatness. You can be sure that such a person has high level of grandiosity. Similarly, such type might conceal their rage behind a martyred, pained expression meant to make you feel guilty. The emphasis is not on the criticism itself and with they need to learn, but on their sense of grievance. If people are successful, notice how they act in more private moment. Are they able to relax and laugh at themselves, letting go of their public mask, or have they so over identified with their powerful public image that it carries over into their private life? In the later case, they have come to believe in their own myth and are in the grip of powerful grandiosity. Grandiose people are generally big talkers. They take credit for anything that is even tangi- tangential to their work. They even past success. They talk to their precise how they foresaw certain trends or predicted certain event. None of which can be verified. All such talks should make you doubly dubious. If people in the public eye suddenly say something that gets them into trouble for being insensitive, you can ascribe that to their potent grandiosity. They are so attuned. They are so attuned to their own great opinion that they assume everyone else will intemperate them in the right speed and agree with them. Higher grandiose types generally display low level of empathy. They are not good listeners. When the attention is not on them, they have a fear, they have a far away look in their eyes and their finger twitch with impatience. Only when the spotlight is on them do they become animated. They tend to see people as extension of themselves, tools to be used in their scheme, source of attention. Finally, they exhibit non-verbal behavior that can only be described as grandiose. They just being dramatic. They just are big and dramatic. At a meeting, they take up a lot of personal space. Their voice tend to be louder than other, and they speak at a fast pace, giving no one else time to interrupt. With those who exhibit moderate amount of grandiosity, you should be indulgent. Almost all of us alternate between periods in which we feel superior and great and other in which we come back down to earth. Look for some moment of realism in people as sign of normalcy. But with those self but with those whose self opinion is so high they cannot allow for any doubt, it is best to avoid relationship or entanglement. In intimate relationships, they will tend to demand adoring one-sided attention. If they are employees, business partner, or bosses, they will oversell their skill. Their levels of confidence will distract you from the deficiency in their ideas. But work habit and character, if you cannot avoid such relationship, but be aware of their tendency to feel certain about the success of their ideas and maintain your skepticism. Look at the ideas themselves and do not get caught up in their selective self-belief. Don't entertain the illusion that you can confront them and try to bring them down to earth. You may trigger a rage response. Don't entertain the illusion that you can confront them and try to bring them down to earth. You may trigger a rage response. If such type people to be your rival, consider yourself lucky. They are easy to taunt and base into overreaction. Casting doubt on their greatness will make them apo- apoplectic and doubly irrational. Finally, you will need to manage your own grandiose tendency. Grandiosity has some positive and productive issue. The exuberance and high self-belief that come from it can be changed into your work and help inspire you. But in general, it would be best for you to accept your limitation and work with what you have rather than fantasize about godlike power you can never attain. The greatest protection, the greatest protection you can have against curiosity is to maintain a realistic attitude. You know what subject and activities you are naturally attracted to. You cannot be skilled at everything. You need to pay to your strength and not imagine you can be great at whatever you put your mind to. You must have a true understand. You must have a true understanding of your energy level, of how far you can reasonably push yourself, and of how things changes with age. And you must have a solid grasp on your social position, your allies, the people with whom you have the greatest uh, rapport, the natural audience for your work. You cannot please everyone. This self awareness has a physical component to it, and that you must be sensible to. When you are doing activities that mess with your natural inclination, you feel else in the effort. You learn faster, you have more energy, and you can withstand the tedium that comes with learning everything important. When you take on too much, you more than you can handle. You feel not only exhausted but also irritable and nervous. You are prone to headache. When you have success in life, you will naturally feel a touch to fear, as if the good fortune could disappear. You sense with this fear uh, the danger that comes from rising too high, almost like vertigo, and feeling too superior. You can your anxiety is telling you to come back down to earth. You want to listen to your body as it signals to you when you are working against your strength. In knowing yourself, you accept your limit. You are simply one person among many in the world and not naturally superior to anyone. You are not a god or an angel but a flawed human like the rest of us. You accept the fact that you cannot control the people around you and no strategy is ever foolproof. Human nature is too unpredictable. With this self knowledge and acceptance of limit, you will have a sense of proportion. You will search for greatness in your work, and when you feel the pull of think more highly of yourself than is reasonable. This knowledge will serve as a creativity mechanism, pulling you back down and directing you towards the action and decisions that will best serve your particular nature. Being realistic and pragmatic is what makes us human so powerful. It is how we overcome our physical weakness in a hostile environment. So many thousands of years ago, I learned to work with others and from powerful communities and tools for survival. Although we have veered away from his pragmatism, as we no longer have to rely on our wits to survive. It is in fact our true nature as the preeminent social animal or the planet. In becoming more realistic, you are simply becoming more human. The grandiose leader. If people with high level of grandiosity also possess some talent and a lot of assertive energy, they can rise to position of great power. Their boldness and confidence attract attention and give them a larger than life presence. Their boldness and confidence attract attention and give them a larger than life presence. Mesmerized by their image, we often fail to see their underlying irrationality in their decision making process and so follow them straight into some disaster. They can be very destructive. You must realize a simple fact about this type. They depend on the attention we give them. They depend on the attention we give them. Without our attention, without being adored by the public, they cannot have their high self opinion validated. And in such cases, the very confidence they depend okay, and in such cases, the very confidence they depend on withers to awe us and distract us from the reality. They employ certain theoretical devices. It is imperative for us to see through their stage tricks, to demythologize them, and scale them back down to human size. In doing so, we can resist their allure and avoid the dangers they represent. The following are six common illusions they like to create. I am destined. Grandiose leaders often try to give the impression that they were somehow destined for greatness. They tell stories of their childhood and that indicate their uniqueness as if fate had signaled them out. They high they highlight events that shows from early on their usual toughness or creativity, either making such stories up or reinterpreting the past. They relate tales from earlier in their career in which they overcome impossible odds. The future great leader was already in gestation at young age, or so they make it seem. When you hear such things, you must become skeptical. They are trying to forge a myth with they themselves probably have come to believe in. Look for the more mundane fact behind the tale of destiny and, if possible, publicize them. I'm the common man woman. In some cases, grandiose leader may have risen from the lower cases, but in general, they either come from relatively privileged background or because of their success have lived removed from the cares of everybody people for quite some time. Nevertheless, it is absolute essential to present themselves of the public as highly representative of the average man and woman out there. Only through such a presentation can they attract the attention and the adoration of large enough number to satisfy themselves. Okay, that's all for now. We will meet again after 2 3 hours. Okay, tata. Bye bye.